Hello and good morning. How is everyone? Sorry, I haven't talked that way in a while. I was just sitting here going, things have been so very, very different since my surgery. Good morning. Today is 1.333 for me. I think it's my surgery plus 11 or 12 days. I think, yeah, 12. I just want to do a couple touch-up items for the blog here, just sharing some shit. Let's talk about dilation 1 week later. Okay, and I guess I really do need to write up a disclaimer. The opinions and views of Karen Gray Owl may or may not be applicable to anyone else. They're only her experiences and should not be construed as advice or trying to tell anyone what to do. This is simply my story, okay, my blog. I was watching a video yesterday about, dilation. And I forget the name of, I shouldn't have done that. The chair and GCS don't go well together. We need like hammocks or something. Or like one of those like halters that you wear and you're like suspended from the ceiling. I don't know. Something that would distribute the weight. Because as I've said this before, you know, on your crotch, all of the incisions go right above the perineum. And of course, where do you sit? Right smack dab on it. Okay, X marks the spot where the buried treasure is. Anyway, I was watching this video, and I guess I need another disclaimer. Hopefully you're over 18. This is all educational, okay? It's not pornography. But the first dilator, okay, kind of looks like a big pencil in a way. And I have to acknowledge I made a mistake, okay? Ooh, I gotta clean these better. But the dot system, okay, I was calling this Grimace because it was purple. The highest dot, if you get yourself like I was mistakenly, I took a ruler. Of course, now I can't find it, which is probably good. And I just like measured, but you know, the thing is they're angled. So really to take a straight instrument doesn't make much sense. And I saw in this video, woman took a cloth tape measure and that way you could run along the angle. And as it turns out, the highest dot is 6 inches. The middle dot, number 3, is 5 inches. And Dr. Gallagher told me 5 inches was kind of the goal. The middle dot, you could definitely go farther. I don't remember what she said that my depth was on the surgical table because obviously even though the penile tissue is expandable or malleable, whatever, it's stretchable, there are limits, right? And God forbid, here's my fear from today is that I'm like going to pop whatever surgery did for me, okay? But in the video, and I can't remember her name, and I hope I'm not criticizing her because I'm not. Maybe I am. But she's like, and I don't even bother with this one. She put it down and reached for the next one, which for me is Muno, okay, the orange one. And I guess I should say that up front. Everyone, your colors are going to be different. For example, I have 2 purple ones, so I can't just say the purple one, okay? But like I said in the video, she just was like, who needs it? You know, like, okay. And probably it's a bit of a dramatization, but I need it. I need Grimace here, okay? Even as small as Grimace is, okay, I look at Grimace as the smallest one. Let me say that. Let's just do that. The smallest one. That is like the first one of the day, the first dilation of the day, which for me is in the morning. I know Krista, for example, works at night, so her night is my morning. Anyway, the first of the day, the first of daily opportunity. I mean, my little coochie is like closed for business. Okay, the night crew has been had off, and so my little coochie is tight. Okay, and so little Grimace here, the littlest one, really needs to be the first one in. Okay, Special forces, first one in, not necessarily the last one out. We'll get to that in a minute. But I need little one. Okay, just think of it as a shoehorn. Okay, maybe she made the video at a month after her surgery. I'm making my video at halftime, 2 weeks after my surgery. But I need a little bit. So I would just again sharing with someone else as you're going through this process. Don't just say, "Oh, I don't need this," because someone else said I don't need it. And by the same token, don't think you need it because I say you need it. Find out for yourself. Okay, Mr. Razak, Starship Troopers, good for you. Go find out for yourself. Okay. So this really is not so much about width, but depth for me. Penetration and where's our little owl? Pardon me for not violating you. Again, because of the way our urinary tract and I'm swollen, and that's the other thing at halftime. 2 weeks from now, I may be less swollen. Maybe I won't need this. But you really got to go down and then kind of work your way on a curve to get under your urinary thingy, which again, I apologize. I don't know what it is called. Your urethra? I don't know. Your sac? Your urine system? So for me, the next one up is Muno here, which, again, your color may vary. And the second one to me is by far more friendly. And that, again, may just be because the first one of the day is everything is tight. And by the time we get to the second one, things are a little looser. It's a little more friendly to me. It's, I don't know, again, the smallest one opens the gate, and this just maybe just feels a lot better. I don't know. Maybe they're differently shaped. Not really. Just a little thicker. And the same measurement system applies. The third dot, 5 inches, the goal. And then if you want to go above that, 6. I think I'm up to 5.5 inches. Okay, not bragging, just it's where I'm at. And I've again, every woman is going to be different. We're all going to be different. What we can tolerate, and definitely, like I said, 2 weeks in versus a month, 2 months after my surgery, we can hope swelling goes down. Okay, things are a little more flexible. This one probably I should have called Grimace because it looks a little more like Grimace. But this is the third one up, and again, it's purple. And I have some of the other videos that I've seen on Dilation, people are like, and the yellow one, and the green one, or the blue one, the colors, who knows what you're gonna get when you get the little suede bag, okay? And again, what's happening is obviously the diameter is growing, okay? And so again, for me, and what I have found, let me rephrase that. For me, what I have found is the second time around is a lot easier. Like I said, the first time is like with shoehorn, and this is a little bit easier. Same system applies. Third hole's 5 inches. That's the goal. My goal. I can get up to 5.5. Really, 6 is pushing it. And then my biggest size is blue, which I've been calling Big Blue. And I think Big Blue is the name. Actually, it's not. I'm thinking of what's the dude? Not Yukon Jack. That's a drink, by the way, beverage. Not Cornelius. That's the dude from Yukon Cornelius from the Island of Lost Misfit Toys. Paul Bunyan. Okay, Old Blue or Big Blue or Babe or something like that. His ox, right? Well, this is just kind of what I remember. And the same thing applies. Third hole, 5 inches, and I can get up to 5.5 on this one too. This is definitely more painful for me at this stage. So that was the first topic I wanted to talk about was, number one, just because some person says, and I don't even bother with this. Don't dismiss don't dismiss the wonderful ability of your smallest one, okay? Every day, and I've only been doing this for a week now, but I find it handy, okay? And I do it all day long. I mean, At every session that I have to dilate, I do start small. Timing is another thing. I was told 20 minutes, 5 times a day. I have found, and again, your mileage may vary. I get my phone, and I've been watching Warhammer Age of Sigmar strategy guide videos. But the first day I start off with music. Enya, Watermark. Enya's Watermark is my favorite CD. Has a lot of history with my coming out and dealing with my feelings and whatnot. But whatever will relax you, I think, is what I think you'll find is where you're going to spend your time. And it just helps. YouTube videos are a blessing. I gauge if the YouTube video is about 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes or less, then I'll watch a video. And when the video's over, I move up to the next size. That's kind of been my thing. And so at most, I spend about 40 minutes dilating. And it's probably twice as long as I was told to do it, but I go very, very slow. And as you might imagine, we'll get Muno here. The process, again, is not in and out, in and out, in and out. It really is like driving a stake, or if you've ever chopped wood, putting the wedge in, and you just slowly push it down. It hurts. You wait, you take it back up, you wait, and your muscles relax, and you go a little bit further, and you wait. Okay. I found that if I tilt my legs like almost straight up, and again, you have to go kind of down and work the curve, okay, and then it's a lot easier. I've also found if I tense up my abdominal muscles a little bit, I can get a little more, or if I'm acting like I have to take a fart or poop, I stretch that a little bit, and I don't know exactly what that does, but that does get me a little more in there. I go for a physical therapy, pelvic physical therapy appointment in a couple weeks, and I imagine they'll give me some tips. I also feel somewhat like those are the muscles that we use when we have sex. I'm guessing to grab onto the penis or whatever and give it a good squeeze. Okay, a snapper, as I think George Carlin would say, a snapping pussy. Not to be too vulgar, but that's that. So that's my update for that too. The other thing that I learned is, like, the first couple days, I would take the gel. This is Astroglide. It can be anything. KY Jelly was my first one. And the person said at the appointment, the tech said, lube is your friend, and it's very, very true. But I was over lubing. And I found that I'm developing a good idea of when I need to add lube and where. A little bit on the tip, you put it on the tip, kind of like a soft serve ice cream cone. Gravity will coat all around, and when you push the thing in there, it's gonna go where it needs to go. I learned I was putting too much on there, and it would, I'd put it in, and you'd hear the sucking sound as it would push it all out, and then all down the front of my crotch, down my perineum, would be this like okay of stuff, and I was wasting it, and I guess that's the hard thing. You're gonna go through these things like cotton candy. For me, so far, like I said, doing it 4 or 5 times a day, you're gonna go through these, and so I'm kind of learning the economy of it, how much I really need to add, because again, progressively, starting with the little and going up, in theory, every time yes, you're going to lose some moisture and whatnot. You're going to lose some on there, but in your coochie, it's moist, water-based, etc., etc. So I would part that information with you. The other thing, next thing, is I went to the salon yesterday and got my nails back on. I had to get the index finger off for surgery, and I really, really do. I'm sold on nails. Okay, I love having all my nails back again, And I didn't realize how much I missed them, and I just love the way I look with nails on. So it's kind of like earrings. Get your nails done, get your ears pierced. You're like, I don't know. It was a step in my transition. I'll put it to you that way. I put it off for the longest time now. But the woman at the nail salon, I won't try and imitate her voice, but she was doing my nails, and she looked at me and she's like, "Your eyebrows are hideous." Well, thank you. Oh, let's pause the video. Let's see who this could be. All right, telemarketers, strike again. I'll even give you a moment to say anything. Unfortunately, not knocking you if you're a telemarketer, but it's a recording now, I guess, because they're used to people hanging up on them. But it's, "Hello, I'm Christy from," and you're like, okay. Anyway, so my hideous eyebrows, and then she said, for $10 I can get them whatever that she would have done to them, plucked them or something, and I said no, but I thought that was funny to be at the salon and feel so good about myself, and I feel like back on my estrogen, and Snow Dogs was on. I think it's Snow Dogs. I know there is a movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. I think that is Snow Dogs, and that's not it. Snow Buddies, the buddies, the golden retriever buddies, and I just cried through it. I'm like, yay, little buddies and whatnot, and so that told me that the emotions were flowing, and it felt really good. And this morning, even as I was dilating, I watched Seth Meyers' monologue from the previous night. He talked about his son being born, and I cried at talking about his son being born. And yay! So that makes me feel really, really good. And a final note, or the last thing we'll talk about today, and I have to put a time stamp on this. I'm 2 days away from being on hormones for 23 months. I know 2 years is like a big woohoo milestone. So let's just put that in the phrase. I've definitely been full time, year and a half, year and 3/4, hormones almost for 2 years. Okay. Just had GCS 2 weeks ago. Okay. So put that in the time frame. And I got a phone call from a family member yesterday to see how I was doing, to see how I was recovering. Kind of a nice phone call to get. Well, in the first 3 minutes of the conversation, they dead named me 3 times, misgendered me twice. Okay? And I was beside myself with frustration, because as an adult, and this is not a child, this is an adult who called me yesterday, someone who should know better, in my opinion, calling you to see how your sex change operation went, for lack of a better word, and to misgender you and dead name you, and they're on a roll. It really just, it took the wind out of my sails. I just come back, like I said, from the salon, and I'm crying, I'm emotional, and I'm happy, I'm feeling very positive and whatever. And I just, in 30 seconds, this person just deflated me. And I didn't know what to do. And I share that because I know that when we go through this process, our first year, we're so nervous. How are people going to treat us initially in the first 6 months of hormones? It's almost like people externally, they feel like they have the control. Either I'm going to, I've known you as Sam all my life, and I'm not going to call you Julie. I'm going to call you Sam, and that's just the way it is. And fortunately for us, that's not the way that it is. You know, it's our name. That's what we get to choose what other people call us. But I think within that initial transition period, you know, people externally feel like they have the upper hand. You know, I'm not going to call you Julie. I'm going to call you Sam because you've been Sam to me all my life. Okay. And that frustration of, you know, again, and initially we're trying to establish ourselves our first year, and we're finding out things about ourselves, and maybe we don't have the confidence. But, you know, there I was, no shit, there I was on the phone, and I'm sitting here going, you know, gosh, it's hurting me to stand up because my surgical and my incisions, my stitches, you know, I'm talking to this person, I'm so full of self efficacy, you know, I feel so self-realized. And yet externally, you know what I mean? And I don't know where it came from. I just got a burning, I ain't gonna take this shit no more from you. So I very politely, and I will stress that, politely said, pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. And I think I had to say pardon me for another minute because they were on a roll. You know, they had steamrollered over me, and they were talking about whatever they were doing. You know, and it was like they were like, what? And I said, I don't know if you've realized it, but you called me by blah 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 3 times in this conversation, and that is not my name. And I will insist that you call me Karen, or this conversation's over. You know, and you know, I realize that's a bit of a gamble, okay, but I think there's a lot to be said for being open-minded. I think of my good friend Jamie, who I think is probably the kindest person, and you know, definitely, you know, the energy around, you know, very much aware of other people, and trying to be polite and whatnot. And I don't mean to make fun of Jamie in that way. I'm just saying there is a time for that. You know, oh, that's okay. I realize it's going to take time for you to call me Karen. But I'm at the point now where it's like, no. No. And the family member, like I said, who I was talking to, was here within the last 6 months. I mean, they've had the opportunity to meet me in this way in my presentation, but again, I just share it definitely not as an exercise in ego aggrandizement, okay, and definitely not as a ha ha look at me or pity party or whatever, but just sharing that, you know, it happens, and how will we prepare ourselves. Again, I'm a big fan of non-confrontational, especially if you can diffuse it with a joke or make light of it and say, hey, I understand, you know, Carol or Joe, I understand it's going to take you a while, but I would really appreciate it. You know, and I think we're totally within, and I made videos about this before, I think we're totally in our cups. We're totally in the right to politely stop the conversation. And maybe initially it's a soft stop, but at some point we have to put our foot down and say, pardon me for interrupting you, but I feel the need to point out you are dead naming me, and I would kindly ask, you know, and again, if it continues, then, you know, I tell you what, you continue to dead name me, and you're not realizing what you're doing. So I'd like to stop the conversation, and maybe we can talk tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe that's being too childish. But I just wanted to share it because I know initially it's like, can you believe, so and so is not gonna call me by my dead name? And like I said, here we are at 2 years. I'm still getting dead name. Sucks, doesn't it? And that's really just about it. I did have another odd tidbit of advice, if you will allow me to share it. Advice is like armpits, mine stink worse than yours. But I will say that throughout my transition, and especially during the weight loss, where I had to lose 120 some odd pounds so I could have surgery, it helped to keep my mind busy. Okay. I see if I can reach it. A big thing for me was to teach myself German. Okay. Um, that really, growing up in Florida, Spanish was the language. I took Spanish many times, and I really wish I would have taken German. So it was really a challenge for my brain. I've been reading a lot about spiritualities, particular Wicca. And lately, like I said, I'm getting back into 40K, which is a hobby that I love, and I definitely am an addict to Games Workshop stuff. It's plastic crack is what it is. But, I would say having a hobby or an interest helps to keep our mind, I think, busy. Benjamin Franklin, I think, is attributed with saying an idle brain is the devil's playground. And definitely old Ben kept himself busy. But I would say that to anyone. Keep yourself interested in other things. Don't let your transition become an echo chamber. That's all you think about. And I'm guilty of doing that. I've done that. But much like a farmer, what Luke said in Luke said in A New Hope, unless you can speed up the harvest or teleport me off this rock, there are things we control and things we don't control. And even if it's just a matter of going to going to the library and checking out some books on some subjects, the history of anything, just to keep our brains busy and occupied, I think helps. I'm trying to think what else. Just kind of a general update. I don't know if well, that's part of the blog. I'll allow this. But I really am horny. And obviously the rabbit's foot, I was feeling my coochie earlier, and I was reminded of a rabbit's coochie. For some reason, I don't know why that stuck out. I know in Kurt Vonnegut's book Breakfast of Champions, he has a picture of a beaver, and it's the vagina and whatnot, and maybe that's more of what I'm thinking of. But 2 months, you gotta wait 2 months before you can have sex, and granted, there's not a line of people at my door okay to have sex with me, but it's hard to look at these and not want to have a need. Mama Owl has needs, y'all. Surprise, surprise. And that wasn't there 3 years ago. Okay, I if anything, I was not necessarily asexual, but you know what I mean. I didn't really have sexual desires. Now I do. Now I really do. And maybe that's just part of the process. Again, one of the reasons why I did pursue GCS was to have sex with a man. And heal, baby, heal. Oh, the other thing, and then I'll shut up. With dilation, Karen's tips. Go to the bathroom before. Try not to laugh or cough or fart. Okay, when you have your plastic pal where it needs to be, and you're holding on like Excalibur, and you're keeping it in the stone though, pushing down on it. if you have to fart, laugh, or cough, it's that same, tense reaction. Guess what hurts? And so I just a tidbit of wisdom there, a tidbit of experience. Okay, so definitely go to the bathroom often, and definitely evacuate your number one and number two. And damn it, I'm gonna just blabber for another minute because Stephanie asked me this question the other day about being moist, and I was looking this morning. I tell you what, for someone who like hated their body for so many years, I spend a lot of time with a mirror now. Um, but a vagina, I used to say because it's true. H.R. Geiger, his concept for the face hugger in Aliens was a vagina. If you flip it over, it's a vagina. Okay, with a sucker and spider legs to freak you out. But a vagina is a moist place. Okay, so don't worry about that. And as I said to Stephanie, don't worry, and I hope I'm not embarrassing her. No, baby, it's moist. Okay, it's moist central, and I don't know if it's because the urinary thing, ooh, hurt, is at the top of it behind your clitoris, and so urine keeps it moist. I don't know. It's a pocket in you, and it's moist. Okay. And when I change my, I don't want to gross you out by showing you one, but when I swap out the maxi pad, you can see the blood and whatnot because of the moisture, okay, that's coming out of it. And there's something else I was going to say. Oh, not to be too gross, but my goodness, they did a lot when I was out on the table, and you'd say, well, duh. But as the swelling goes down and things are beginning to be a little more malleable, okay, things are falling into place, I guess, where they need to be. And I'm thinking of the clitoris right now. Man, my clitoris looks like a Swiss cheese, looks like a grater. There's so many stitches in it. The webbing, I guess, looks like a colander or something. And I'm like, okay, when all is said and done, it's going to be wonderful. But for the moment, it's like a cheese grater when you rub it. And again, as the swelling goes down and it functions the way it was supposed to, because it's the head of your penis. And so when it's stimulated, it swells up a little bit, right? Okay, clitoris. So that was kind of funny. I noticed that this morning as I was sitting there with the mirror, and I was like, oh my gosh, what did they do? Because I haven't seen it, And that's something else that I would say last week, okay, things were like this, okay, because they were so damn swollen. Well, now they're more like that, okay, because there's some flexibility in there. And that's the way I think you think of a vagina. You think of when you're looking at full frontal, it's kind of it's loose. It's not like that. So anyway, so now that if I haven't grossed you out, but you know what, I did deliver on my promise to you, which was to tell you the truth. Morpheus says, take the red pill, take the blue pill. All I'm offering is the truth as I have perceived it in my experience. Okay, so again, your mileage may vary. Hopefully I have, in sharing a little bit, brought some of the smaller details to light. Hopefully I haven't grossed you out too much. And the story is not over yet for me or you. I think, and definitely good luck in your journey. And as I always say, good luck in becoming the best version of yourself that you want to be. Okay. And I can't stress that enough. I've met some folks And I did it too when I first started out. I assumed, I'm going to do surgery, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do facial feminization, trach shave, whatever else, blah, 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 blah. And it was Holly Knight, who there should be a statue of Holly Knight somewhere for all her wisdom and experience, who basically said, we get to a plateau and we see what we feel comfortable with, and we always have the option to maybe up the ante and go to the next level if we want to. But we can choose to live on however far we want to go. It's not like every trans woman is going to have surgery. Ooh, boy, I can do that now. Get that. Learning new things. All right, my friends. Well, I've thoroughly wasted your time, and I've put my cat to sleep, so all is well. And good luck to you in your journey. And until next time, keep the faith and good luck.